If you love speed, you're going to love Road America. And it's hard to deny that those who drive the Lotus 79 love to go fast. Keep your foot in it and keep it on the pavement. That's certainly easier said than done as we get ready to watch round one of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, Elkhart Lake's claim to fame has built a racing mecca. Let's find out some more about it with our track guide. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. This is a very, very popular circuit. A lot of racers have claimed it as their favorite in North America, and we'll see if it puts on a good show here today, Joey.
It is one of my favorites, that is for sure. Here is the track map. Road America, 14 turns in length, just over 4 miles, also known as Elkhart Lake out there in Wisconsin. And tons of elevation, tons of top speed. When we circle a few of these turn numbers, turns 1, turn 5, turn 12, those are the 3 big passing areas on this racetrack. However, we're going to see a lot of action throughout. The Moraine Sweep, also known as kind of the second straightaway, that leads down into that turn 5 passing opportunity. Then you go up the hill towards the Corvette Bridge, back down the hill towards Hurry Downs, down the hill through the carousel and the kink, one of the most famous corners in all of motorsports here in North America. Canada Corner down there, turn number 12, that is the lowest point on this entire circuit, and it is uphill from there all the way to start-finish. So when we talk about the end of the race, these competitors, they better have put enough fuel in the car.
Certainly, and these are thirsty Ford Cosworth DFV engines, so they'll need that fuel. But the fuel for the championship last season was all in the hands of Kimmo Viekainen, who came away missing a single podium the entire season at the final round at Le Mans. Otherwise, he absolutely dominated, taking his first championship in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Antti Lepisto followed him home, missing a few of the rounds, so couldn't realistically try and catch him. Gernot Frische, though, interestingly, wound up third in the championship. He's starting to win races more frequently again. Could he finally return to the top step in the points this season, as Juho Raine really was the main one that was trying to challenge Kimmo, but fell off by the end of the season, unfortunately. But that's in the F1 standings. The F2 championship is usually always a tight fight.
And it was Thomas Silbernagel that won that F2 driver standings last season, just over Timothy Vandenberg there in second place. Arnold Cook in third, Miguel Moreland fourth, Kirk Clapper rounding out the top 5. But look at how close it gets there with Kirk Clapper, Keith Herner, George Batev, Chris Roberts, even include Cam Porter and Robert Simpkins in here. I love watching these F2 driver standings, not only how it develops through the season, but watching a lot of these guys graduate out of F2 and into F1.
Certainly, it is possible with the iRating, and especially now that they've switched it to a sports car and a Formula I rating here in iRacing. So these drivers will probably see that start to rise if they've been competing in multiple series, as they can focus now on this one. Now, today's race is the opening round, and they've got 21 laps since it is such a long time around here. Even in these cars, it takes nearly 2 minutes to circulate this place. Open setup in this series. Expect a lot of drivers to try and focus on straight line speed today. No spare car, though. This is an old school track, as a lot of North American ones are, so there's not a lot of runoff in plenty of places. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, and it's DQ at 25. Means they've got to keep it on the black stuff, and they can't bang wheels too many times out on this track. Now, as they start to put laps on the board, Juan Costa, who has returned recently, he's another one that is looking good for a potential championship if he can show up all season long. He's got the provisional pole right now.
And I'd be a little bit worried because he's about 4/10 clear of Gernot Frische right now, and that's on the first lap. They only tend to pick up speed and get faster on the second lap. So right now, Juan Costa definitely looking hooked up out there. However, the number 2 car of Antti Lepisto, he has yet to put down his first lap time.
Yeah, so Lepisto's going to be one to watch out for, no doubt, as he's usually pretty darn fast, fighting for wins out there. We've got another Finn in Sami Juvonen, and he's actually just put a time in, but it looks like, unfortunately, he's down in 15th out of our 16 drivers that have set a time. So we'll have to pick up the pace on that next time around as we fly out of the carousel and down through the fearsome kink. Still as it was, they can't extend it any farther than that. There's train tracks actually just beyond there, so there's not much they can do to give that some runoff space.
You see down here, it really is like a tunnel, just kind of like a canyon into Canada Corner, the lowest point I was mentioning there. And it's uphill all the way through here. This fast sweeping left-hander, careful not to bounce it over those curbs like you saw right there. Nice catch from Wanmi. Also, the exit curbs right here can definitely throw you for a loop depending on how low you run these cars. And now it is the uphill climb to start-finish. His first lap of 51.1. Let's see how fast he goes this time. It will be faster, a 50.5.
Impressive stuff there. So he puts himself a second away of Gernot Frische, who's just coming across for his second lap. 51.1. He gets a little closer, but it's still 0.6 away. That is massive between himself and the multi-time champion.
Watching Antti Lepisto go through the carousel now. So this is the car that's provisionally third place, but he has yet to put down his second lap time. Like we were watching those first 2 cars, they definitely get faster here as they get the tire temperature, everything up to pressure. So just got to navigate a few more corners here and see what Antti throws down.
Move down through Canada Corner, trying to use up as much as he can just off that exit curb. And this is where it gets dangerous up over Bill Mitchell Bend, but he avoids that exit curb quite a bit in comparison to what we saw for Costa. Now as he accelerates up to the last bit, I'm showing him, well, it's looking slow on my timing screen, but that might not be fully accurate. A 51.653 for his first lap, a 51.3 for his second lap is not going to promote him. He stays in third.
Watching Dylan Freckleton cross the line here. A 51.5, so he'll stay in fourth place. The other car, and I think that he's going to be able to capitalize on this, is Andy Hugel in the number 23. Never mind, he just pulled to a stop. So it's Ellis Spice as we got about 25 seconds left. Yeah, this will be a run to the line here if he can make this.
Another driver that's got a hard race ahead of him is Daniel Gallus, who has set 2 disqualified laps. So unfortunately, he went off track somewhere along the way. Ellis Spice is not going to be able to make it to the finish, just shy here, unless he's close enough. No, he winds up about a second or 2 short of being able to take that second lap. Let's go through our starting order as Juan Costa takes a pole position. He's looking quick today over Gernot Frische, who will join him on the front row. Antti Lepisto will be in P3 as Dylan Freckleton will start 4th. Then it's Dave Reudenbeek, who is a new name to us, starting 5th, followed by Jack David Spickett in the 6th position. Annie Hugel will be P7 as Patrick Samaran starts 8th. Then it's Andreas Schuster, P9. Outside of row 5 sees Jean-Francois Boscus rounding out your top 10.
Then is Sam Ryman in the number 12 car. He starts in 11th. Ian Haycox in the number 11 starts in 12th. Then we got Barry West in 13th. Ricardo Ruiz on row number 7 and 14th. Carl Villeneuve in 15th. Timothy Vanderberg, 16th. Shady Ahmad, 17th. Cam Porter, 18th. Sebastian Zahul in 19th. And Sammy Juvonen back here in 20th.
Just a few more with Ellis Spice starting 21st and AJ Roper. A bit far down for him, 22nd, although this is top split. Two drivers that did not set a time, Antonio Alvarez and Daniel Gallus of our 24 starters here. Okay. Looks like we are just about ready to go, and it is a stacked field out there. We have 3 drivers with over 6,000 iRating here today, multiple that are over 4,000 out there. We often talk about this being sort of the proving ground for a lot of future pro iRacers, and that really kind of tells the tale of that one, Joey.
And I would be a little bit concerned going into turn 1 here. Pit lane feeds out onto the racetrack, and a lot of times when these cars are stacked up on the starts, they take advantage of that, but be careful, it funnels into the racetrack.
Indeed, it is narrow. We've seen pileups both in real life and here in the sim if drivers get stacked up at the start. As the lights are now up, the engines start to rev to start the season for the Sunday Grand Prix Series, and the green flag is out. It's not the greatest of starts for Freesia. In fact, it's a horrible start for Dylan Freckleton. You can see him dropping back, and that's caused problems immediately. 3 cars off into the grass.
Yeah, I believe it is Dave Reutenbeek that had just massive wheel spin off of the start, never got going, but the rest of the field further forward, we make it through turns number 2 and now head down the hill for 3, and I believe that was Freckleton looking to the inside.
They now fly down towards turn 5, a popular place. AJ Roper managed to pick his way through, but got damaged. He's going to try and get his way back around to the start-finish line. Otherwise, the other cars seem to have taken a tow onto pit lane, looking for the braking into turn 5, and Freckleton is going to get into the side of Samaran. He gets shoved off the road.
And Gernot Freesia just spun by himself coming out of turn number 5. He had a hook spin, impacted the wall. The number 3 car is rolling again, but heavy damage.
And that was Ruiz off the course at turn 5. There he is now, or turn 6 rather. So multiple drivers trying to shake off the rust here apparently. At the start of the race, that means Costa and Lepisto still in 1st and 2nd. Spickett in 3rd, up 3 positions, and Hugel up 3 positions to 4th.
Wow, as we go through the kink for the first time, Juan Costa is loving just kind of the gap that he's got behind him to Lepisto. Jack David Spickett hanging on, and like you said, Andy Hugel there, that 4th car in train. I'm loving that Andy Hugel paint, that blue STP theme.
Yeah, looks good on this car. Ian Haycox also made some contact, gets turned around through the carousel, falls down the order. You were talking, as we go now to Sam Ryman in a bit of a side-by-side race coming up to Bill Mitchell Bend. He's going to have to pull out of that one. You were talking about it off air, Joey. A lot of new faces. I wonder if that's what's causing all the chaos we're seeing.
It could be coupled with Road America. It's an incredibly fast track as we get the GSRC replay. This is the car. Now watch this number 10 here. Just all sorts of wheel spin. Never gets going. Gets it into 2nd. More wheel spin. Just you see him fishtailing all over the place. Ends up getting a tap from the back because everybody else is moving. And unfortunately, several cars collected.
Saw someone mentioning that there's the new clutch bite point setting that iRacing has. I'm not sure if that works with this car, but I wonder if maybe that is involved with drivers trying to get off the line and struggling. As Carl Villeneuve, he actually has been around before, but kind of stepped away. He returns here to the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, running in the top 10, having gained 5 from the start. Around him, there's cars that have already gotten 8 positions.
Well, he's got Gernot Frisha right in front of him, and I do think that number 3 is going to start to kind of run away as we get queued up on another one of these GSRC replays here. This is Patrick Samaran going into turn 5. Remember, we were kind of watching this on the opening lap. Got kind of shoved out of the way into the gravel. He does continue on, and just out of frame was Gernot Frisha hook spinning it to the left.
That was Freckleton getting into him, and I'm not sure. It was hard to tell from that angle if that was Freckleton overshooting it or if maybe he needed to give him a little bit more space there. But we come back to Sam Ryman once again, fighting with Juvonen, another driver that, as far as we're concerned, is new on these broadcast races. They've also got Shady Ahmad kind of watching in behind.
See what kind of driver Sam is here this season. I know at the end of last season, it was kind of a total 180 from what we're used to expecting out of Sam Ryman. He was much more aggressive on the racetrack, and judging by the first couple of opening laps here at Road America, kind of the same type of thing, really charging hard.
Looked a little wide coming into that final corner. This is Ian Haycock's contact with the car from behind. Was that actually Sam that got him?
I don't know. It looked like a white and red car, and Sam is in that white and red car. I'm not sure if it was Ryman, but it could have been.
I mean, it has GSRC plastered all over it, so I don't know if anybody else, because you can use that in iRacing. That's an option as a sponsor, and so it could have been someone else, but I fear for Sam that may have been his fellow Brit that he kind of punted off the course.
Oh, well, Sam Ryman, we can talk about it when we're in the commentary booth together here in a couple weeks, but you're going to have to face the wrath of Joe Peak and those GSRC logos first.
Yeah, exactly. Ricardo Ruiz, in the meantime, is he going to be able to sneak through? Yes, he'll demote Sam as he takes 13th down into turn 5. Next up the road is Juvonen, just up the way, so let's see if he can get that McLaren liveried machine up to the fin.
Jump up here to Jean-Francois Boscus. Now, he's been on the back of Andreas Schuster for a few laps. Now he's got Barry West joining him in the party. Gernot Frisha is also closing in on the back. So I have a feeling that maybe it's Schuster, maybe it's Hugel, but there might be a cork in the train that's starting to bottle up a few cars.
Absolutely. Though with here, there should be passing opportunities, those long straightaways offering the slipstream. We'll see if that's enough to try and get the attack on as, yeah, you can see Hugel up there in that 5th position, just leading all the way back to, it looks like a roughly 9th position, Gernot Frisha at the tail of this train.
And we could see a train develop here at Road America. I kind of want to get a little bit nerdy here for a second. Qualifying and the race are two completely different animals when it comes to this racetrack, as it looks like Gernot Frisha got a tremendous run on Barry West. He's just going to go drive right around him to the outside, claim that 8th place position. But what I was going to point out is that in the race, you want the top speed. You want low downforce in order to make the pass, just like we saw Gernot Frisha do on the straightaway. In qualifying, you want the confidence to drive into the brake zone and be 100% aggressive on this racetrack. So 2 different setups, I think, is the fast way to go around Road America.
Well, and I just want to make a note that if you had told Barry West about 5 years ago he'd be racing, on merit alongside Gernot Frisha, I think he would have said, pull the other one. just such progression we've seen from him. And up in this front group, there's a pass in front of them. That's Andreas Schuster managing to sneak by Hugel for 5th.
Just a nice textbook pass going into turn number 5, out-braking maneuver, no contact. Space given from all competitors, and actually here comes Boscus. He's going to look down to the inside of turn number 8. That is a passing opportunity if you're close enough, but backs out of it at the last second.
Just can't quite get in there, so he'll back out, try and see if he can resize him up later on. We'll get a good shot maybe into Canada corner if he gets the exit out of the kink. He falls off slightly out of the carousel. That Ligier liveried machine is definitely going to be too far back. Instead, he's going to have to play defense. Here comes Gernot Frisha down to the inside through the kettle bottoms, and he is going to have an easy pass into Canada corner.
I actually think that Boscus might have lifted just a touch, had a bit of a wiggle through the kink, but either way, Gernot Frisha, that car is handling real good in a straight line, has got about 2 or 3 miles an hour faster than anybody else in this group.
I do love not only do they try and go for some of these classic liveries in this series, but the Frenchman, of course, is going to be driving the Ligier, and Ellis Spice in a big fight back here towards the back of the pack. In fact, he's going to scare Vandenberg off the road.
Gets back on. Let's see, does he get down pit lane? It looks like Timothy might have had a little bit of damage there. You see it kind of crab walking, so he's going to come down pit road, see if he can get that fixed.
A bit of a shame. He was doing well up to that point. Ellis Spice, with his lack of qualifying there, the second lap at least, up to 17th position. He's still playing defense on Daniel Gallus as we head back to Hugel once again. He's already lost at least 2 positions in this group. Can Jean-Francois demote him another? Well, let's go back to Ruiz first on Juvenin. This has been quite the run as he gets another one up to 12th now.
And I know we've seen Juvenin kind of jostle back and forth with a few different positions, and you made the comment that we haven't seen this name a whole lot here in the 79 series, but he is doing a tremendous job leaving room for all of the competitors. Great to see.
Yep, still up +7 is Sammy in that number 20 car. In fact, yeah, top split, 20th rated out of 24. It's running 13th. This is a phenomenal job. So Ricardo Ruiz now going to try and see if he can catch up to Zahul. And the number 21, that'll be for P11, although this is looking tight now as Sam Ryman versus Sammy Juvenin. We've got another Sam versus Sam scenario.
And down in the Canada corner, and you know, I hate to do this, but I want to go focus on Gernot Frischa because he's coming out of the final corner. I want to show everybody what downforce and top speed difference is because I'm noticing about 10 miles an hour. He is just going to blow by Schuster here. Watch this, Joe.
Gernot's been around a long time, so I think he kind of knows that this is the way to go at this track. Take off the wing as much as you can, make it look easy, as Andreas Schuster has no answer. And another sort of classic livery, I think that's a 90s kart car, old Indy car.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for amusing me over here. You made my brain happy. Now Gernot Frischa is in clean air, and this is Juvenin still trying to get by here. This is a good, really, 5-car battle.
Wow, Ruiz thought he could run away, but Sammy's not going to make it easy on him. He's going to fight back. He's going to have the slipstream coming down the straight. I think Sebastian in front of them is also lacking straight line speed. Look at how slow he's going in comparison. Caught up tremendously. Oh, outbraking himself. Maybe Ruiz going far into the corner. Juvenin's going to fight back. Both of them around the inside, up into turn 6 and completely off the circuit for Ruiz.
That is a tricky turn coming up there into turn 6. It is over the crest, easy to drive in way too deep and basically lock up, go straight off the racetrack as we saw Ricardo Ruiz do. But I have a feeling just given the pace, he didn't lose a whole lot of track position. You see the other folks just up the road. I have a feeling put the visor down, he'll be right back in it.
Oh boy, Zahul started this thing in 19th, and he must have gathered up a few positions with that opening wreck, but now he's starting to discover that he cannot keep pace with some of those around him because they caught him super quickly. Sam Ryman, Shady Ahmad are rocking up to the back of him as we ride with Shady.
Just gotta be patient here. This is the toughest spot to be in because you see all the cars lined up right in front of you. Well, they're kicking up all of this dirty air. Your car not liking the dirty air, so a lot of times you got to find the clean stuff. Just put your head down, take away little bit by little bit every single corner and hope that there's a mistake up the road from one of these other guys and that you can close it in. But being that 4th, 5th car in line, it can be frustrating at times.
Yeah, we saw another case of that there with Barry West poking his nose on Hugel, who is not going to give it up this time. This 3-car train is a fight for 7th with Boskus just in front of them, flying off of turn 3 down the straight now. This is not going to be quite close enough for Jean-Francois to be under threat. And in fact, well, no, he's closing in. Barry's got pretty good straight line speed himself.
And hey, Joe, is this a new paint for Barry West this season? I seem to recognize him in a red paint, but I don't recognize this one.
Yeah, I have not seen this before. It's got a lion on the front of the car and some flames. It's a very manly looking car.
I think he's trying to tell you something, Joe, is that he is here to come and take positions. He's no longer the old Barry West. He is here to race and dominate.
I like it. I dig the paint. for sure. Ryman, in the meantime, back here, still fighting with the two on either side of him. Sebastian, the next one up in front. So let's see what he's got out of the carousel, as Seb is going to go just a little wide off of there, trying to see if he can open it up as he breathes it down through the kink and towards the kettle bottoms. That looked like a good run.
And this is going to be a little bit of a tough situation for Sam. We know him very well. He prefers the higher downforce setups. That gives you the confidence in the brake zones, in the corners. However, it does not lend your car to very much top speed, so it really is just kind of a game of chess right now for Sam Ryman. Stay in the mirrors, keep closing that distance, and wait for the opportunity.
We haven't checked in on the leaders, but there's not really been much happening. You saw another fastest lap for Costa on your screen. There he is now, about 2.5 seconds over Antti Lepisto. They've been kind of at this distance for much of the race. As for the opposite end of things, we've lost Dave Rudenbeek, who's now officially out of the race. Timothy Vandenberg's been sitting, taking lots of repairs. Not sure if we'll see him. And then AJ Roper and Cam Porter, after their own extensive repairs, have returned to the track a couple laps down.
My brain is kind of having an argument. You know, do you watch 7th place? Do you watch 10th place? We've got two fantastic 3 or 4 car battles. This is a really good run for Jack David Spickett. We haven't mentioned JDS much at all today, actually. This is one of the drivers that has gone through that F2 Driver Championship, graduated up into the F1 Driver Championship, and has gone from middle of the pack to podium finisher on a regular basis now.
Finished 5th in the points last season. Oh no, something's happened to Freckleton. He's off course in turn 6. He falls down to P6, and now Jean-Francois is right on top of him, down into the carousel. This is going to be difficult to try and hold these guys back, especially if he has damage after that.
And I went back and looked at it. Thankfully, there was no contact with another car, so hopefully no damage. But here comes Boscas. He's got the run through the kink, headed into Candid Corner. Freckleton goes defensive right in the middle of the racetrack. Oh, so close to banging wheels. Do they both get the car stopped? Just barely. Here comes Hugel trying to take advantage.
Can't quite sneak through, but he was close. Also behind them, Barry West giving watch. This could be a big moment for him to try and take this position if he plays his cards right. This is the longest straight on the track, up the front stretch, climbing the hill. But turn 1, not a heavy braking zone.
Look at this lion in the mirror. It is coming. It is stalking its prey of Andy Hugel. Look at the top speed difference. Does he make the lunge? No, not quite there.
The big cat can't quite do it yet. Oh, behind them, looks like Sam Ryman close to Zahul. Not there. He's not going to be able to make the pass. Like we said, not heavy braking into that first corner, but they're going to get another try at it as they now head into the Moraine sweep.
All 3 cars lined up nose to tail, and now we've got a battle. This is, I believe, Villeneuve and Barry West. So Barry is going to have to give up that position to Carl there in the number 13. Just was kind of out of the track position going into turn 5 on the wrong side of the road there.
I can report that Shady Ahmad did get by Sam Ryman that time into turn 5. You can now see him ahead and seeing if he could size up Sebastian. And they got a 4th one coming up in behind. Ruiz, after his off, is caught back up.
He's done a fantastic job after making that mistake in turn number 6. He's just, like I said, put the visor down. Those cars weren't too far in front of him, and it's almost kind of like that carrot to chase that lure out in front of you to go and catch him.
So 3 cars. Does he have the pace to try and overtake them and keep the mistakes away as well to avoid making the same error twice? As we watch Shady fly down through amongst the trees, the engines echo through this portion. It is extremely loud if you ever get to go in person. And as they fly through Canada Corner, looks like it was a little wide for Seb, but he manages the exit nicely.
Up and over turn number 13 there. Just such a tricky couple of turns to round out this lap. And actually, there's a good example because Shady Ahmad did not handle turn 14 very well, was slipped up in a little bit of that apex, but I think he's relying on that top-end speed. He's able to keep Sam Ryman at an equal distance down the straightaway. That just comes down to those 2 setups, like I was telling you. The higher downforce that I know Ryman likes to run because it gives you the confidence. However, at Road America, you want the top end speed down the straightaway.
Definitely not happy hunting ground for Sam here, so he'll be looking for a much higher downforce track. Mugello next week might help him, but they still have that long main straight that is going to hurt if he can't manage to get by somebody on the twisty bits. Could we see a pass as we check back on Gallus in the meantime? Up to 17th now. He has gotten himself up 6 positions, and he's approaching Patrick Samaran, who's gone the reverse direction. Granted, Samaran, I think, has a bit of damage on the front of that car, from what I can tell.
Let's see how they're handling. I'm looking at the last couple lap times here, and Daniel Gallus, this black number 19, he's taken about half a second off per lap, catching that number 17 right in front of him. So I have a feeling maybe another lap, maybe another couple laps, and we'll have not only the 2 battles of 3 cars, but we're going to have a 3rd battle on the racetrack too.
Certainly not short of fun out here as we watch them head down into the kink once again. About halfway through this race, still plenty of excitement to go on this one. And we switch up ahead to Ruiz once again. Now he is truly a part of this fight. Sam Ryman going to be the first one up with Shady and Sebastian, the next cars in the train. Oh, and that's way off the apex for Seb.
Yeah, and we're going to see if he can hold it. Remember, the 3rd car line doesn't have the top speed, but Shady Ahmad, that 2nd car, he does have the top speed. So what's he got in comparison to Zahul right in front of him? Not close enough into turn 1, but look at Ricardo Ruiz. He's got the top end dialed. He makes a move from way far back on Ryman, takes the spot.
Just breezed up the inside into turn 1, and now he is into 14th. If those 2 in front of him start fighting, that could help him catch them up, because that little side-by-side racing put a gap between them. Here comes Shady as Sebastian is not going to go defensive. He'll hold the right-hand side of the track, the racing line. He's got some overlap down into the braking zone. He gets a nose ahead. Can he slow the car up? Yes, nice move by Ahmad.
Yeah, just an excellent job out-braking Seb there into turn number 5. And looks like Samaran had a little bit of an issue, so that's going to allow Daniel Gallus, remember we were just covering these 2, he slips right on through.
I always feel like that corner is more difficult than you'd anticipate, because there is a little bit of a kink into it, and it's downhill. So there's a couple things that kind of combine to add some difficulty.
Watching Antti Lepisto here in 2nd place, coming kind of around turn 14. Very a lonely race, I would say, for the top 3 up here. The toughest times, honestly, is these types of races, Joe. Your mind kind of starts to wander, but you have to stay focused if you want to collect a podium.
We've seen Lepisto over in the IMSA Vintage Series as well. He's one of those drivers that will every once in a while pop up in the old cars here on iRacing, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like they've got enough to try and keep with one another. I wonder if once he lost that slipstream to Costa, that kind of put paid to his hopes, because he almost needs a mistake out of that number 1 to catch him at this stage. Gernot Frische, who has jumped back up to 4th after starting on the front row, is going to be ruining his poor start to this race in his slip-up in turn 5.
It actually looks like Zahul was making the move on Shady Ahmad into turn number 1. Nicely defended from Shady right there. So it kind of falls him back into the clutches of Ricardo Ruiz, that 3rd car in line. Yeah, there was the problem from Shady. So Zahul going to go right around him. Watch out for Ricardo Ruiz. He's got a head of steam.
Oh, but no place to take it. Shady covers him off. He boxes him in. They're going to go 3 wide down into turn 5. And that is not the racing course, as Ruiz, for the 2nd time, is going to go flying off the circuit.
Oh, my goodness. I think Ricardo Ruiz might want to turn those wings the other way around, start to take off like an airplane the way he's charging into some of these brake zones.
Oh, that is a real shame. He was doing such a good job up to that point. Now he's got to do the hard work all over again. And Sam Ryman might be saying, I may not be quick in a straight line, but at least I'm glued to the course in the braking zones.
This is a fantastic race for this kind of 3-pack right here between Juvenin, Ahmad, Zahul, Ryman. They're all been involved in this all race long, so I don't expect it to go anywhere, and we just passed halfway. I think they're going to be kind of glued together this whole race. One other thing that I want to let everybody else know, Gernot Frische is closing that gap to Jack David Spickett. It's been closing by about a quarter of a second to a half second per lap. And Joe, we've got another 8-9 laps left. It could get to that point.
You're right. That's 4.5 seconds between them right now, so he could chop it down. JDS could be trying to manage this race. If he has something in it, might try to pick up the pace. We'll see as we come back up to Carl Villeneuve. Very appropriate for this car, his namesake, trying to see whether he can make his fellow Canadians proud with that last name as we come back to Zahul once again. And he's close to Ahmad. I think Sebastian is the one with the less wing on it because, yes, Shady looks fast here, but there have been a couple straightaways where it seems like he's just gathered up by that 21.
This was that other battle, so Villeneuve just made the move on Andy Hugel there, so slide that red car up into 8th place. He's now going to focus on Jean-Francois Boscus. That's the white and blue car directly in front of him. Also, Dylan Freckleton has not been able to run away from this 3-pack of cars, so really, if the fastest car is in fact that red 13, he's got a few carrots right in front of him to go get.
Certainly has been looking quick and appropriately running that Ferrari paint scheme on it as we follow Hugel out of the carousel down towards the kink. Should be pretty flat out in these cars, but you need good speed out of it, and here he comes. Carl's got tons of straight line speed. He is gaining on the Frenchman, but not enough by the time they break for Canada Corner.
You just got to be patient through these next few turns right here. Stay as close to Boscus as you possibly can, because that same opportunity is going to present itself down the front straightaway here. Boscus a little bit early into 14, but he was able to hook the front end. Here comes Villeneuve. Let's watch this top speed.
Does look like it is quick, and yeah, he is just gobbling him up. Not much that Jean-Francois could do here, and just goes on by. And strangely, though, he's got a German helmet on him. That is, I think, Vettel's helmet that we saw in Carl.
Everybody always has their fans out there, and, you know, quite honestly, I'm a big Seb Vettel fan as well. It's just kind of the era of F1 that I grew up in and whatnot. And you're right, that is definitely a Ferrari Vettel helmet to go with the paint.
It is indeed. So that might explain why he's rocking that one right now. Coming down into the braking of turn 5 once again. Now, can he run away and keep Jean-Francois from fighting back on him at the end of this race? We're going to check back with Gallus now in the meantime, as he's catching up to Ruiz. Now, we know Ruiz is fast, but he's mistake-prone, so can Daniel capitalize on that?
And I don't think that this race is over for Ricardo in that number 5 car. He's doing 52.9s. Compare that to the group in front of him. That's 3.5 seconds up the road. He's taken 3/4 of a second out per lap, so this could be a perfect example of just the two different setups work in two different ways, and it could be an opportunity for Daniel Gallus to go up there and get a few more positions if Ruiz can hunt him down again.
Down plunging. It's quite a drop here through the carousel. You can see from the hill on the other side. That's equal with the hurry downs portion of the racetrack. That's just how much you fall downwards until the lowest part of the track here at Canada Corner. And I've been keeping my eye on this one, because Sam, Sebastian, and Shady are still quite close to one another. In fact, Shady going defensive into Bill Mitchell-Ben. That's not really a place you usually defend.
So are you saying this is kind of like a mixing pot that's just been constantly stirred and stirred and stirred, and it's about to be boiled over?
It could be. Oh, and here we go. It looks like Sebastian's got a run. We're watching from Sam Ryman, and Shady can do very little to try and defend. Oh, but as they start to get to the braking zone, they even out on speed, but it looks like Ahmad is going to give up the spot. Here comes Ryman, now showing his nose down to the inside of turn 3, but decides against it.
That was just Sam's level head prevailing right there. I really thought he had enough momentum to kind of slide down to the inside, and then with that extra downforce and grip, outbrake him into turn number 3. But he says, you know what? I'm plenty happy to sit here at the caboose on the train, because if they keep fighting right in front of him, this could also end in tears.
Absolutely. So you got to keep your wits about you. These cars are very raw. There's no driver aids on them to help you down into the corners. So one little slip up is costly in the end. Sam Ryman still stalking on Shady Ahmad. These two seem to wind up close to one another pretty frequently in the Sunday Grand Prix series.
Let's keep it right here, but I can report that gap from Prix to JDS was 4.5 seconds. Now it's down to 3.5 seconds, so it's continuing to close.
6 laps to go. Costa up at the front is still about 6 seconds ahead of Lepisto, not missing anything up there. This is where the action has mainly been down at the tail end of the field. These conditions have been pretty ideal out on the track as well, as we saw the sun glinting off the cars. Usually that heats it up significantly, but it's only about 85 Fahrenheit on the track surface. Although I didn't look at the wind, that is quite gusty.
Yeah, about 18, 20 miles an hour out there, and these cars are affected by the wind. I guess it really just matters. I'd have to overlay it and see where the tailwind versus the headwind. There's not too many extremely long corners around Road America other than the carousel, and even then the carousel's got a little bit of banking built into it, so the wind doesn't necessarily affect the cars too dramatically through there.
I wonder if that's the excuse Ruiz could give here, is that the wind caught him out the couple times he went off track.
You know, if you ask drivers, they can probably pull out an entire file cabinet of excuses.
Do you have your favorite that the most creative you felt you came up with?
Oh, there's traffic. There's traffic. That's why the lap wasn't good.
There you go. All right, Sam Ryman still sitting behind Shady Ahmad, but we got a bit of a replay on Ian Haycox. He's already been off with some help a little bit earlier. Oh, and the curbs, I think, bottomed out the car there.
Yeah, I think so, and I guess just to explain it, you need both tires to provide maximum traction. When one tire is on smooth ground, the other tire is on those rumble strips. You have different kind of areas of contact patch, and combine that with a happy right foot trying to put all that power down, oftentimes results in wheel spin.
Good catch from Daniel on that one. I didn't even know that Ian had an issue, but that has taken him out of the race. He's done for the day, becoming our third DNF. Cam Porter, in the meantime, going to get a promotion from that. One of our cameras being provided today is just getting ready to overtake Ian Haycox next time by.
And I think that looking back at the laps from Cam Porter's race, looks like he had a rough couple laps. So just chugging along, trying to make up some of that time, still grab some of those points.
Yep, he and AJ Roper. I mean, you talked about a lonely race for Lepisto. Those guys don't even have a car within a lap of them, unfortunately. There is AJ down on the back half of the course, running 18th. Again, unusual for him. We tend to see him running about in the mid-pack and honestly usually making up a lot of positions.
Yeah, and it's just tough, right? We talked about kind of the pit lane feeding into the track on the opening start, but that's not just it. This racetrack in general is a very, very narrow racetrack, so you combine that with the extremely high top speeds. Everybody bunched together in those first couple laps. Not surprised that some of the cars were knocked off track.
This is a driver that's probably got reason to feel aggrieved here, because from the very beginning of the race, it just kind of all fell apart when he had that contact, and we haven't seen him been able to get up to the front. And there's a little bit of damage. I think it looks worse on my screen than it does here on our feed. So maybe it isn't affecting him as much as I feared, but regardless, a 17th place after starting 8th is going to be less than satisfactory.
And, you know, Patrick is one of those cars that shows up quite regularly here with us, so always good to see him out on the racetrack. Same thing with Daniel Gallus. I recognize this name quite a bit, and a little bit further back in the pack, but he's actually made his way forward up 7 positions from where he started. Remember, he went by a few of those cars that had some mistakes, but he's attached himself right on the back of Ricardo Ruiz, who is hunting down that pack again.
At last lap for Gallus, a 53 flat, Ruiz a 52.4, so he's pulling away from him a little bit, but he's doing his best to try and hang on in these last few laps, just in case we get another mistake from the number 5.
That is Ricardo Ruiz there in that number 5, and we've watched him fly off the racetrack once in turn 6 all the way out to the gravel, almost in the wall, and then once in turn 5 as well. So Definitely a little bit of a busy race back there for him as we check back in on this battle. Shady Ahmad's going to be trying to make this move.
He's been on the back of Sebastian for a bit now. Hasn't been able to make it happen quite yet. But like I said earlier, from what it seems, Seb looks like the one with a bit better top end. Let's see. We'll find out here because this is going to give a good tow to Shady. So he should theoretically be the quicker car. And he is reeling him in, but not as fast as I expected.
How brave on the brakes is Shady going to be? He looked to the inside, but doesn't take it all the way down in there. Kind of a smart move. Actually slides out a little bit on Apex. That allows Sam Ryman to close it in. We've seen Sam really get sucked up into this battle, but he hasn't done anything crazy to poke his nose in a dangerous area.
Yeah, that difficulty with how quick Seb is down the straights, it looks like Shady's got a slim chance, unfortunately, on trying to make that pass, unless he gets aggressive. Hugel, though, has Jean-Francois Boscus in front of him, and he's also been getting dangerously close to making this pass for P8.
I've been watching that interval between these two cars, and you're right. I think that Andy Hugel had a tremendous run down into turn 5, really closed that gap on Jean-Francois Boscus right in front of him. So coming up here, 3 laps to go for these competitors once they cross the line. For Andy Hugel, I've said it a few times this broadcast, it's just going to be chipping a little bit each corner, see if he can crawl up to that number 7.
It looks so far away from this angle, though. It's only a couple tenths, but it just looks like eons away from him from on board the nose camera, unfortunately. And as we come down into turn 1, he gains a little bit of time on him, but not enough to really make a dent yet. He needs more than this to try and attack in these last 3 laps. Sebastian versus Shady, once again for P12, down into turn 1. Watching from behind, Sam Ryman just thinking maybe I could pick up the pieces. If they go side by side, I could have an opportunity, but he's also going to be lacking in straight line speed. Now Ahmad gets a little closer on the exit this time.
He is definitely closer than he was last lap, so he's going to stay right in the slipstream. Look at him close it in. Now pops out to the inside. All he's got to do is outbrake Zahul into turn number 5. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup, but he does get the car stopped. Nice move by Shady Ahmad.
Use that extra downforce to great effect into turn 5, but now he's got to try and run away because Sebastian could try and get him back on one of the longer straights as they fly through the hurry downs into turn 8. This is a lot steeper than you'd think into that braking zone.
And I think if we're looking at Sam Ryman, that 3rd car and train, we got to think that the time is running out in this race. If he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, it's going to be coming here in the next few laps.
He's getting close to him as the number 12 is going to try and see if he can overtake on the 21. And the reversal of numbers, we'll see a reversal of positions. Gernot Frisha setting the fastest lap, though, up at the top. We were talking about teasing that maybe he could catch up to Spickett. Well, unfortunately, I think Jack has covered him off. It's still about 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's kind of flirting in that 2.8 to 3 second range. So you're right. Jack David Spickett done a tremendous job really showing that graduation of skill and speed, hanging on to a podium when he needs to.
This is Dylan Freckleton and Andreas Schuster for P5. We saw Andreas get overtaken by Gernot earlier. And Dylan Freckleton had an absolutely atrocious start to this race, getting off the line, could not get the throttle down as well as he would have liked. He's been playing catch-up since then and is just about back to where he began this thing. He'll be 1 down from where he started if he can pass Andreas.
See what he can do here, just all over the back of the rear wing, and see if he can kind of redeem some of those mistakes that he made earlier. And this is that same battle into turn number 5. So this time Shady Ahmad is on the defense. Seb was trying to make that pass, and once again, Sam Ryman right there. Look at that white and red car. Ricardo Ruiz, it's a bit like a rock climber today, climbed the mountain several times.
Absolutely is. Unfortunately, he's got to make sure that he puts those little picks in there nice and firm, or else he is going to fall back once again as the white flag is out, and Juanmi Costa is up to 9 seconds now, putting a lap over Cam Porter, who pulls out of the way.
And then here's Dylan Freckleton here. Remember that Gernot Frisha made that fast lap. I think Juan Costa just actually took it away, and I think that we've had another problem. I think Carl Villeneuve actually just had a retirement.
Yeah, he's disappeared from my timing screen as here comes Freckleton up around the outside. He's going to be forced to go the long way around to turn one, and he says, sure enough, I can chop down at the apex and have that done. Shady Ahmad seems to have gone off track or something. He loses touch with that battle.
Yeah, and I can report we're going to get this GSRC replay right here. So this is going into Canada corner, just too much speed. A self-spin at apex there, and he stops it right here. Thankfully, he sees the other car coming. Tip of the cap not to run into them.
That's been the story of the day is drivers have been putting in a lot of hard work, and then one little mistake undoes it all, and they fall back down the order. Juan Costa has not had any mistakes that we've witnessed so far. He's gotten to the lead from the drop of the green and hasn't looked back from there as he comes into Canada corner. This is starting to look a lot like the Juan Costa we knew before he had his problems with his racing wheel. Now that he's returned, he's still pushing, going all the way out to the edge of Bill Mitchell Bend. He used to dominate and still is going to dominate, not giving any leeway at this track. He will win the opening round at Road America.
In dominating fashion, too. He almost had another fast lap there at the end. Here comes Antti Lapisto. He's going to cross the line 10 seconds behind, but will be on the podium there in second place.
Frisha rounding out that podium in third. Nice recovery for him, although sure he's not too happy about the start of that one. Jack David Spickett, a nice fourth today, with Freckleton also recovering up to fifth.
Watch the rest of these cars as they come across the line. Schuster just behind Freckleton. Hugel's going to chase Jean-Francois Boskus to claim that checkered flag as well. Then I think the next few battles, they've all kind of spread themselves out here. I saw Sam Ryman holding off Ricardo Ruiz right behind Seb as well. And
Juvenin coming home in a top 10 after starting 20th. Nice job on that one. Sam Ryman finishing P12, and Zahul up 8 positions himself to get that 11th place. Definitely some big movers in this race. Shady Ahmad finishes, unfortunately, down in 16th at the end of it all. I believe that's going to wrap us up, but we're not done with the show quite yet. We have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews coming your way. Welcome back to Road America. The opening round of the Sunday Grand Prix Series saw some great battling in the mid-pack, and in fact, we had a change for the podium right at the finish. We didn't even realize it. We were so used to things with how they wrapped up. And as let's take a look at our results, I guess, in the meantime. There we go. Sorry, I thought we had this replay pulled up as this is Jack David Spickett going wide. Now, from what we see in the text chat, he forgot to blip the throttle on the downshift, and that is what sent him off track. And Gernot Frische catching up to him wound up making the difference anyways. If he hadn't have pushed as hard as he did, he might not have gotten that third place in the end. Bit of a shame for Jack, but still, I think he should be happy with a fourth place. Now we're going to take a look at the results as Juan Costa wound up with the win easily over Antilepisto. It wasn't really an eventful race between those two, but Frische definitely had quite the charge back forward after he started on the front row. Jack David Spickett, P4, as I mentioned. Dylan Freckleton also having to recover from the beginning of the race and managed to finish fifth. Andreas Schuster wound up P6. Jean-Francois Boscus was seventh today. Andy Hugel coming in and impressing us on his, what we believe is debut, in eighth. The Big Cat, Barry West, comes home P9 today, and Sammy Juvonen, another newcomer, gaining 10 spots to finish P10.
I love that name for Barry West, especially with that paint, the Big Cat. So here's 11th, Sebastian Zahul, up 8 positions. So, and remember, Seb had that fantastic battle all race long. So good race there. Sam Ryman finishing in 12th. Ricardo Ruiz, a very much an up and down day, comes back to 13th. Daniel Gallus up 10 to finish in 14th. Pat Samaran, after being shoved off the course, unfortunately, early in the race, finishes 15th. Shady Ahmad back here in 16th after a late mistake in Canada corner. Ellis Spice in 17th. Then comes AJ Roper, the first of the cars a lap down. And Carl Villeneuve unfortunately did not finish. However, Cam Porter and Ian Haycox hopped back in the car, did see the checkered flag. The rest of the names here, Rutenbeek, Vandenberg, and Alvarez, did not finish the race.
So there you go. That is everybody. It looks like we've got our winner, Juan Costa, ready to talk to us. Obviously, kicking things off with a victory. Juan, congratulations. I mean, that looked like a straightforward victory from our perspective. Was it from yours?
It was very hard, this track. I don't know why. It's making me sweat every time I race here.
Well, it didn't look like it from our view. It looked like you had it all under control the entire way. Antilepisto following you home. Will we see you for much of the season this time, now that you've gotten your wheel fixed and your rig is ready to go?
I hope so. I think I can make it all. Now you say it, I think the last part of the season can be here, but maybe doing a season without draw weeks is interesting.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for you. You certainly look like you haven't missed a step. We're going back to Mugello once again next time out. How do you feel you'll fare at that circuit?
It was interesting the last time we went there. Sorry. The track looks like a mid-downforce track, or even it can look very low, but it's super high downforce for some reason, because the corners are so long and there are not many top and goes zones. So it's quite interesting running that track with high downforce.
Yeah, I'm sure it makes it tough following in some of those corners as well. But congratulations, Juan. Like I said, it looked like a flawless race.
Thank you, guys.
Juan Costa riding the Alfa Romeo #1 to victory here today. Followed home in third by Gernot Frische. Just sneaking through at the end, Joey has caught up with him.
Well, Gernot Frische, congratulations on the podium here on round #1.
Actually, thank you very much. Well, that was quite an interesting race for me. I guess I included everything. Crashing in the beginning and then driving like crazy and having some huge luck in the end as well.
Gernot Frisha, the all-inclusive iRacer out there. That's who you are. But talk to me about that turn 5, lap 1. Was it just cold tires, or did you maybe upset the car with the curbing?
It must have been the curbing and the combination with cold tires. Maybe I never had that in practice. I hit some bump from the curbing, I guess, and yeah, suddenly the car was going off, and I even hit the wall, so I had some steering issues afterwards. Steering was a little bit bent, but obviously the wings were still fine, and I was doing quite quick laps afterwards.
So I have to ask kind of a general question here, because we do the standing starts and there's the update to that clutch bite point. Are you guys playing with it at all in these cars, or is it just kind of the same old for those standing starts?
I don't, but I guess I'm doing starts differently to almost everyone else. So yeah, it depends on the track, how I'm doing it, and I didn't have any issues today.
Awesome. Well, Gernot Frisha, congratulations on the podium here, and good luck this season. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
All the guys doing the admin stuff behind the scenes, you guys doing the broadcasts. Special thank you to Peter Konieczny, because he always organized the broadcasts and will stop this after this season. So I hope there will be someone else stepping in. Yeah. So thanks, guys, and congrats to Juanmi. It's nice to have him back. Congrats to Antti as well, and yeah, bad luck for Jack.
That was Gernot Frisha, the all-inclusive iRacer out there, finishing 3rd place.
Well, one of the regulars on our cameras, Cam Porter, also going to be talking to us here. He wound up finishing 20th, sticking with it to pick up some spots as others fell by the wayside. But it all kind of went awry for you at the very beginning, Cam. It looked like you got caught up in that wreck. Can you tell us what you saw?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't see anything. Well, actually, I saw some cars checking up at the beginning. And of course, I checked up, and I was so close behind other cars that I did not see the wreck happen. And all of a sudden, there's a car sideways in front of me, and I couldn't avoid hitting Dave, I think his name is. A name I didn't necessarily recognize, but looking at the replay, I saw he kind of lit up his tires at the start and was kind of twitchy, and then Samuel Raymond, I think, couldn't avoid hitting him because he was pretty slow, and that's what sent him off into my path, unfortunately. But after that, it was just getting some repairs and mitigating my losses.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that you managed to get as many spots as you did, considering the situation, sticking with it. Hopefully higher spirits next time out at Mugello. Are you looking forward to that one now that we've had it for a couple seasons?
Oh yeah, I had a good time at Mugello last season. I spun myself out, unfortunately, but I had a fun race regardless. So looking forward to going back to Mugello next week.
Awesome stuff. Well, like you said, a lot of new faces. Hopefully everybody will still be on good terms out of this one, and we hope to talk to you next time out.
Sure, see you then.
That was Cam Porter finishing 20th today out there. But that's going to wrap us up. So we, of course, want to thank the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage with the Lotus 79s. And, of course, thanks to the team today, Joey, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like we said, we're going to Mugello on Sunday, March 24th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for round 2. So be sure to check out that and our other broadcasts that we have on the screen. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.